I've been doing this. I guess I've been a serial entrepreneur for the past 8-9 years now, and so one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do you become successful? How are you able to afford these cars? How are you able to do it? Travel, and I have a custom condo on the other side of town, and this is just a storage that I keep for for some of my exotic cars. I'm a huge car collector. I love exotic cars. I love the speed. I'm actually missing my Audi R8. I have a black Audi R8 on red interior. It's a Spider edition. I'm upgrading the clutch on it so I can go faster. I think the fastest I've gone on the Audi R8 is about 190. So I'm not really into racing or anything like that, but I am into speed, and so I get a rush from it. I'm still young. But at the age of 23, I bought a Maserati. I just got this brand new Roush truck. Actually, I've had this Lamborghini. I bought it at the age of 24, 25. The Lamborghini Gallardo, and most of my cars I actually bought them cash, and so I've never really needed loans or anything like that because I've been used to busting my ass and kind of working hard. For the past 8 years, I've started companies, sold them, and not every company was successful, but I knew that I was going to be successful over a time period. And so I kind of like to reminisce back on the time on when I first started. But since I was a kid, I've always wanted a Lamborghini Gallardo, and so that's always been on the top of my list. And so even when I was a kid, people used to call me Lambo, and now I have my own kid, and I have him. I got a Lambo for him, so that's pretty cool. But I guess I think that people always ask me, I pull up to the car wash or a gas station, they expect some old guy to kind of get out of the car. And I guess one of the most common questions I get asked is, how did I do it, right? And so I have tattoos. I grew up in the east side of San Jose, so I have tattoos all over my body. I don't look like the average person that should be getting out of an exotic car. But it's cool because I'm one of the youngest persons. I actually joined a Lamborghini club. I'm one of the youngest persons in the club. But it's cool to be successful and young at the same time because you have a lot of advantages over people. You get to learn what they learned and what they know, and then you actually get to apply it in your own life and then advance from there, because most people are successful at a very older age. Most people are successful at the age of 40, 50, 60, 70s. Warren Buffett at the age of 80. The founder of KFC at the age of 80, he became a multi-billionaire over a time period. They said that he failed and failed and failed all the way to the age of 60, and then became a multi-billionaire at the age of 80. And so when do you quit, or when do you call it quits, or when do you call it starts? And so most people fail in life because they simply don't start. And then again, when they start, they end up quitting. They say 99% of people end up quitting within the first 6 months of anything that they try. And sometimes that happens in 30 days. And think about it from a fitness standpoint. You're going to the gym every day. You're changing your diet. You're changing your exercise regimen. You're not used to eating a certain type of food. And so, most of the times you switch up your life, and then you don't like the result of it right away, and you don't wait long term. You're not thinking long term. You know what I'm saying? And so I've always been the type of person that knew I was going to have what I have. Even when you look at yourself, you know that you want to look a certain way. You know that you want to do certain things. And so I've never really quit at what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be young. I bought this Lamborghini when I was 24 years old, and I bought it in cash. I bought my Maserati in cash. Most of the stuff that I have, I bought it in cash, even including my custom condo. But it was a matter of discipline. You know what I'm saying? And I always thought long term. I always knew that long-term success was going to be better than short-term success. And you see some people do it in like 1 to 10 years, and some people do it overnight. And so it just depends what strategy you have. I think one of the things that helped me become so successful was that I had a lot of practice at it. And I've always read a lot of books that say that knowledge is more powerful than any other education that you can get, because most people are taught to go to school, get on a subject that you normally don't want to learn about, and then you try to apply that to real life, and it just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Caesar, I see you, brother. What's up? And so it just doesn't work for real life. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things that's always angered me is, why am I going to school if I'm not learning how to invest? Why am I going to school if I'm not learning how to be successful? And I'm learning this really unapplicable history, science, math, just unapplicable. You know what I'm saying? That it just ruins the timing. I think that the school system is rigged, and you know, the schooling system makes a ton of money off of people that go to school. And so I decided to drop out of high school. I ended up going back into college, and I was honored with a doctor's degree at the age of 25, which was pretty cool. But most importantly, I've always been a hustler, and I've always had that mentality. And so my number one thing is that I kept my goals right in front of me. And I'm not really a materialistic kind of guy. I own I think close to about $1 million worth in cars. A Lamborghini is about 300 grand. Maserati 136. The truck is about 67 grand. I also own a Audi R8. Audi R8s are close to about 300 grand. And so I've been able to buy most of the stuff that I own in cash because I've been saving money all this time. And so in 2008, I was 18 years old. Today, I'm 26 years old. And success has been one of my most important priorities to my life, because I know that if I become successful, then I can help other people become successful. Personally, with my family, I mean, just a ton of people. And one of the things that I like most is that I can give back. You know what I'm saying? I've been helping out organizations. I've been helping out people ask me a ton of questions. And I've been able to give back knowledge. I mean, just giving back, you know what I'm saying? I'd say that the worst thing that you can become is another poor person. And so that wasn't going to be me, you know what I'm saying? I've always seen my mom work hard, and so I think that the best example that I can be for her is that same hardworking person that she instilled into me. And so, you know, some people need to find out why you want to be successful. And for me, it was a really simple reason. It's because I seen my mom work hard, 2 or 3 jobs just to raise 3 boys. I'm the youngest of 2 older brothers. And I've seen my mom work hard all her life just to be able to provide a roof over our head. And so I've always wanted to be successful growing up, and I've always had that in the back of my mind. And so the first example that I had for success was my mom. She worked 2 or 3 jobs just to provide for us. You know what I'm saying? And so now I do the same thing. I work all around the clock. People right now, you know, people are on vacation, taking breaks. You got Christmas, you got New Year's. Everybody's taking breaks, but I'm over here working. So what separates people from being successful to people complaining and being broke is the mentality that you have. You know what I'm saying? Is, are you working when nobody else is? Are you working when when everybody's taking breaks? Are you willing to take small breaks over a course of period of day and within 24 hours to accomplish your goals? And most people right now are starting to think about the things that they want to do in 2017. But guess what? 99% of people end up failing at their goals. They end up quitting their goals. And they say the number one reason of failure is because people just don't simply attempt it. And so if you just try something, majority of the time you'll find out how to do it. And so it's crazy because, you know, I think this is like my 6th company that I've launched from the ground up. And so not every company was successful, but I knew that I was going to be successful over a period of time. They say that one of my mentors was telling me that success was a journey and not a destination. So I kind of just fell to my knees and said, man, that's kind of true, right? Because if you just consistently keep going, you'll end up being good at something. And most people end up quitting because they don't keep going. You know, their journey is very, very short. Their satisfaction is very short. People think about short-term satisfaction, but then they end up having long-term misery. And so you need to really calculate how you want to do things. If you want to be successful, there's obviously a plan to do that. You know, there's obviously a plan to becoming successful long-term. And it all starts step by step. And people are always asking me like, hey man, you know, how'd you build such a successful company? Well, timing and strategy is one of the most important things. I said, when preparation meets opportunity, success comes into place. And so right now, you're seeing a huge transfer in a lot of people that are becoming successful overnight. And the reason being is because they've been using social media. They've been using all these other platforms. Online right now is one of the best platforms for business. You can see people $1 million is nothing anymore. You know, the benchmark is $1 billion. You're starting to see more and more people become billionaires and billionaires and billionaires. And so some people look at 100 grand and get scared. You know, some people look at $1 million and at the end of the day, you're just like, man, that's not enough. So imagine having to face the fact that you have to go out there and make $1 billion. If that doesn't scare you, then it should motivate you. and I'm one of those people that's always been motivated. I think that you have to find your motivation in order to really be successful. And for me, I have a Lamborghini, Maserati. I also have the brand new Roush truck. I have an Audi R8. I have a few other cars and a custom home that I built. I get to live a very different lifestyle. But the thing is, what you don't know is that I work in between all those things. See, on my way to go drive my car, I work. While I'm in my car, I work. While I head home, I work. And then I have a custom lifestyle that I get to work from home. And so the thing is that you don't know that I'm always working. And so people are always like, man, he's lucky, he's this, he's that. And so that changes when you find out the work that comes behind it. And so don't be discouraged. Don't be so quick to, want to discourage somebody when you don't know what the work behind the hustle is. A lot of people say, man, you're so young. How'd you get this car? He's probably doing this, probably doing that. And then when I start talking about my story and how I became so successful, everything changes. The tables turn, right? And so it's funny because even my family wouldn't listen to me. I tried giving advice to my family and they turned it down. And so now they're running to me asking for, advice on how they could start a business and stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool to be able to give back to your family. And when you turn doubters into believers, that's what makes things even better, So it's pretty cool to own a lot of these cars. I get to live a real cool life. I get to travel and speak at different organizations and events. But most importantly, I just love giving. If you're going to be successful, I think that you should have a contribution back into the world, and so other people can become successful. But there's a lot of things that people wonder about, and I don't like that there's so many unanswered questions. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't become successful simply because they don't ask questions. And so a mentor once told me that the more questions you ask, the more answers you'll have. And so I like that. You know what I'm saying? I got my son used to always constantly asking questions. At the age of 2, I got him to talk, walk, swim, play piano. I got him to do a bunch of different stuff. And so success starts at home. If they say that if you want to be successful, you should find a mentor that is successful and you should do exactly what he or she is doing. And so, I would suggest that you find a mentor very early on. I learned that mentors actually have a lot to do with majority of your success because most people don't ask questions and most people don't get the answers from the right people. When you have a question about something, the first thing that you're used to doing is asking your parents. And so what ends up happening is you get the answer from a person that loves you and doesn't understand what your goals are, that doesn't understand how to get there. And so, your support group like mentors and people that are going to invest their time and people that are educators into your goals and dreams, that's what you should be asking. So if the quality of the question is determined by the answer of the person that is answering the question. And so if you're gonna really want to be successful, then you have to choose some right mentors around you. I've always knew that. And I didn't really have an option to choose too many mentors growing up in the streets, and I didn't really know how to choose that. So what I did is I started reading a lot of books on personal development. I'm going to give you guys 3 books that I recommend to get right now. Number 1 is Think and Grow Rich. That's actually like my encyclopedia to a lot of the knowledge and success I've been able to accomplish. I was just reading the book again. I've read the book about 9 times, and I've always learned 9 different things every time I read it. And so I read that most people quit because they just don't try something. And so while you're not putting enough effort into something, most people quit right at that deadline or at that start time. And so you got to ask yourself, where are you in the determination? Where are you in the position of wanting to do something to get you successful? And you got to think about, how is that going to get you successful and how long is it going to take? Because most people do things that completely waste their time. And by the time they're, 10 years deep, they're still not making any money. And so you got to be smart. You know what I'm saying? I think that one of the most important things right now that you could do is be savvy. Understand that communications have changed. Understand that social media is one of the strongest tools to being successful. And I've seen a ton of people raise personal success, business success, service success. I've seen a ton of people raise a ton of success on social media that it's became the answer to the growth of most businesses to potentially succeed. I was just reading an article that says 50% of businesses end up failing within the first 1 to 5 years. And the other percentage of businesses end up quitting. So most people at some point or another, if you don't find the evolution in your business, if you don't create the evolution in your business, you're going to end up failing. And so preparing for long-term success has everything to do with being knowledgeable and the stuff that you read and the preparations that you make as things change and evolve. And so it's been pretty cool. I've been able to build a very successful company in the past 2 years. A lot of people know me because I launched a company called Trim Tough. I invented one of the best weight loss products out of an all-natural product. And what I did was I disrupted the market. I disrupted the market by providing a product that's low cost and better than the most expensive product that's in the market. And so when you think of real successful companies, I'm gonna give you guys 3 successful companies that are billion-dollar companies that are the most successful companies in the entire world. Number 1 is Walmart. Number 2 is CVS. And then number 3, I'll give you guys the third one in a minute. But my point is that in the business world, when you become successful, you have a very valuable product or service. Even personally, when you become personally successful, you have a very valuable talent or personality. And so people don't know how to value themselves because they don't know where to grade themselves at. You know, they don't know if it's their personality, what they say, how they say it. And so personal success has a lot to do with overall success. And people don't understand that. They think that if they go and get an education and learn what's in the books and apply the context of what they've read from these classes that they've been taking, that they're going to be successful. And it's crazy to think that because majority of that stuff is outdated. When does it talk about social media? When does it talk about investing? When does it talk about 2017 new businesses, 2017 new development? When does it talk? You know, there's no courses in college that say take the 2017 new investment strategies. You know, if Forbes was to offer a course, majority of people wouldn't even take it because it's not an accredited program. And so I advise you, and I'm pushing you to be able to become successful. And so most people ask me, you know, how did you become successful in such a short period of time? Well, I've been doing this since 2008, and I've been able to buy a lot of my cars cash. I'm going to give you guys a quick tour of my cars. This is the Lamborghini Gallardo. A lot of people, you know, haters will say it's rented and photoshopped, but my first car, I'm going to pull back real quick. The first car I've ever owned at the age of 16 was a Nissan Sentra, 2002 Nissan Sentra, and I was proud of the car. I bought it cash. I actually bought it from my mom, and I felt good that I can buy something off my mom, give her the money, and have her let me buy her car, which was pretty cool. I bought it for $2,000 cash. It was a salvage 2002 black faded Nissan Sentra. I'm very proud of that car. But in such a short period of time, now I get to drive a Midas yellow Lamborghini Gallardo whenever I want. As a matter of fact, this is a 2-seater, and I'm able to bring my son in here. He actually sits in the passenger seat, and he actually owns a Lamborghini as well. I bought him a toy one because it's important for me to show my son how to be successful. This is the Maserati Quattroporte Sport GT. A lot of people see me in this car. This is a dream car for a lot of people. It is for me too. I'm just blessed to be able to work hard and afford a lot of this stuff because people often take loans and stuff like that to buy stuff. But I've been fortunate to know how to survive on very little and save a lot. So one of the common mistakes that people make when they start to make money is that they start to spend a bunch of money too. So, you know, Maserati is one of the most distinct cars. They're very well designed. This is a brand new Roush truck. If you know Mickey Thompson, these are Mickey Thompson tires. This is a custom truck. Everything about this truck is custom. They only made 100 of them. I reserved number 16. And so one of the things that I want to get to is that, you know, people always ask me, you know, how do you become so successful? And I think that in order to really answer that question, it's a matter of consistency. Success comes from being consistent at what you know you're good at and doing it long term. And so this is David. I always travel with David everywhere we go. We capture a lot of the stuff that I do as far as like speaking and stuff like that. But yeah. So it's just pretty cool. I get to, I have so many cars, I have to store them somewhere else. But I get to, drive some of these cars were actually on my list of cars that I wanted. I didn't know that I was going to get them before I was 25, but I actually own all my cars. There's no car that's rented. A lot of people would say that I don't own this, or I don't own that, which is fine. It's not important to them. It's actually important to me to know where I'm at. So you have to know how to assess your life, exactly where you're at. You have to know exactly where you are in life and then how to get to the next step. And most people make goals so high they can't even hit them. They make goals so high they get scared to even try it. And so I've always been the short-term goal and the long-term success kind of guy that has that type of strategy. And so if you can accomplish just a simple milestone on how to get to the next level, how you get to the next level from there, how you get to the next level from there, then you end up finding out that you're really just climbing up the ladder. And so consistency is key. They say that success is a journey and not a destination. And so most people will buy their first car. Most people will buy their first car and they end up owning that car for the next 10, 20, 30 years. If that's your level of ambition, you're probably not going to be around me. And people are always asking me, hey man, how do you do this? How do you do that? I always talk about being consistent, because if you're not consistent, then you're non-existent. And if you're not persistent, then there's not going to be any type of consistency. And so people are always asking me for strategies and success and stuff like that. One of the companies that I was an advisor for, that I consulted for a few years back, I took them from $250,000 to over $1 million today, 60-something employees. And so I just acquired another company at the beginning of this month. It's an appliance company. I'm getting ready to take them up to $1 million in revenue level pretty soon here. I think this year for sure coming up is going to be a really successful year for a lot of businesses. It's not just going to be me, it's going to be a lot of businesses. And so people ask me, what is to come for the new years? And I think that it's consistency. You don't worry about what other people are doing. You should always assess where you're at. People are having these crazy goals, and the number one thing is, so I'm going to tell you why my company is so successful, is because people's number one goal has always to do with their health or their weight. And so they want to get fit or they want to drop 40, 50 pounds. And so the average person that has those type of goals, and they never end up hitting them because that's too much work for them. And so they don't know how to assess their life, and they don't really know how to accomplish those goals unless they have a mentor. And so I would invest into a mentor. Most importantly, one of the things that I did early on is that I launched one of my first companies at the age of 18, and my competitors were my mentors. They were just excited to see me win. They wanted to guide me in the right way. They didn't want me to be one of those other persons that puts a bruise in the game, and so I've always did things by the books. That's why I've had a lot of long-term success. I've been doing this for about 8.5, 9 years now. And so I've had a huge longevity of establishment that I've been able to provide for myself. And so it's just a matter of finding the right people to surround yourself with, finding the right idea, the right strategy, launching and executing. Don't be the person that procrastinates. Don't be the person that's going to take a long time just to do one simple thing. And because you end up finding out that one simple thing nearly took you either 1 day, 30 minutes, 1 second, and it nearly took you 5 minutes just to get done. And a lot of people complain about doing something that they've never done before. It's crazy because most people don't succeed because they don't understand the levels of growth. And so the first thing that you have to do is just simply try it. If you have something in your head, then just simply try it. Don't be that person that says, I'm going to start a business this year. I think, and just to give you a few keys, I think that if you're going to start a business, you should try out the easiest things first, and that's, in my opinion, I started a resale business at a young age. I was selling furniture. As a matter of fact, I had office furniture that I needed to sell. I put it up on Craigslist, and it literally sold 30 minutes later. And that just lit a bulb in my head and said, man, this is such a huge power tool to making money. And so I found other furniture that was for free. I literally found free furniture on Craigslist. I went to go pick it up, polished it up, cleaned it up, refurbished it in a sense, put it up for $50, $100, and I ended up making $600 in one day selling furniture that wasn't even mine. And so making money is simple. It's just how you put it in here. And so that's how things add up. That's how things add up. If you think about this year, if you can start a side hustle this year, right, that's going to make you an extra $600 to $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000. I mean, making $1 million is all based off your effort. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And so if you can start a hustle or a side business that's going to make you an extra $2,000, $3,000 a month, then why go to that night shift job? Why do the extra hours if you could do it all on your own? And so today, more than anything, businesses are starting up. So when more businesses start up, that means more services are needed. That means more products are needed. That means that more entrepreneurs are going to rise up. You're going to see that this year, 2017, more successful people are going to be made this year than ever before, because there's all these different technologies, there's all these different tools that you could be using to become successful. And so you can do it. I have a 2-year-old son. I always buy him all the same things. I'm really big on matching with him. I think it's the best thing to be able to reflect on my son and think about when I was a baby and the things that I didn't have. And one of the most important things I didn't have was a father and a father figure. And so if I had somebody teaching me how to be successful at an early age, I'd be a lot more successful now. As a matter of fact, I'd be in the billions instead of the millions. And so if you could do that, because imagine all the young kids that grow up in families like the Gates, like the Clintons, like the Waltons, and all these different all these different families that grow up that are very wealthy and they have kids around them. You think about what they're being taught and the conversations that they have at home and the conversations that they have around the dinner table, to the conversations that you have with your family at home and at the dinner table and with your friends. So surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the most crucial things, because what you're telling yourself and what you're letting other people tell you ends up becoming your belief. And so if you have people that are constantly telling you, hey, you're going to be successful, you could do this, you could be a millionaire, you could have your own business, you could have multiple businesses, then that's most likely going to become your reality, because what you believe is what comes into reality for you. But if you have people that are negative, that are breaking you down, that are saying, man, you can't do that, or you can't do this. People make fun of you just because you want a raise at work. People make fun of you just because you have a job. So imagine when you start to tell them your goals, what they're going to say and what they're going to talk about, right? And so what I advise you is that 2017 should be your new game plan, should be your new strategy. And so I'm gonna create a website for you guys to get some more real information, some real knowledge on how to become successful, and so that you guys can comment, question, answer a lot of the concerns that you guys have about 2017 and becoming successful. And so I've always needed a real mentor. I grew up in the streets, so I've always needed a real mentor to give me the real lowdown on what's going on. And so I feel that there's a huge need for somebody that's real, a real successful person that can provide real service, that can provide real information in order for you to be successful. And the number one reason why most people don't become successful is because they just don't know. So knowledge is power, knowledge is key. If you have enough knowledge and you apply it, you will end up having some sort of success in what you're doing. So you guys have if I don't talk to you guys sooner, you guys feel free to comment, DM, check in with me, message me. I love giving back. I love answering a lot of questions. Some of you guys have my phone number, so that's pretty cool. But more than anything, you guys have a prosperous and successful 2017. Think about everything that you want to accomplish. Write it down. Take a picture. Create the step-by-step plan of what you're going to do to get there, and then make it happen.